37th parallel on America's haunted highway. It's Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.
Wow. Whatever. It's one of those fucking days. Like, technology is not my friend. Um, you know, I was a ding dong and got off work and then I had to go back to work and I'm just a miserable sack of shit tonight. You know. I'm ill. I'm ill. I'm ill prepared. Like, if you would have said, "Hey, buddy, can we go ahead and move the recording back to Friday night?" I would have been like, "You bet your fucking bottom dollar, you can move that right the fuck back." You know. No, I'm not muted. It's showing me. Are you muted? Oh, no. Keep talking now. Oh, try now. Try now. Hmm. Well, we might not be live streaming this because for whatever reason. What about now? Say something. Oh, that's so weird. It is not picking. It is just not picking up. Wow. Okay, there's that. Let me go back here. I don't know. I just don't know.
Here, I don't
know. Oh, now try it.
I just don't know.
Try it now. Can you hear those delicious dulcet tones now? Yeah.
Delicious dulcet tones now.
Sassy Sasquatch is sunbathing in Cincinnati. Sassy Sasquatch is sunbathing in Cincinnati. I think it's working.
Sasquatch is sunbathing in Cincinnati. Sassy Sasquatch is sunbathing in Cincinnati. I think it's working.
Cool. I like it. So let's start over, shall we? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pixelated Paranormal. Sorry about those technical difficulties. Today is just not Preston's day. I of course, am Sean.
I'm a sad sack of technical shit right now that's not working. I'm fucking over it.
Yeah, Preston's day took a nosedive about 2.5 hours ago. Mine's
Yeah.
going swimmingly well. I can actually taste and smell again for the first time all year. So, cracked open my first beer of the new year, a Krampus Cookie Barrel Aged Stout. So, I'm actually pretty excited. And I got a 4-day weekend ahead of me. Look at that. Well, I know we said we'd record on Thursdays and post shows on Saturdays, but I've got family coming into town, so we had to go ahead and do it tonight. But don't forget, folks, we should be going back to predominantly Thursday nights. Oh, give me a break now. Hold on a second here. Lazarus says we... Okay, it's gone now. Okay. My God.
It's probably
That's all right.
because you had your phone on listening to audio and you didn't have your mic muted. And so...
You telling me I got to start muting my mic now? I got to put another ounce of effort into this?
No, it's fine.
I can do it.
It's just, it's just tonight. I mean, there's, Charlie in the pipes and gremlins in the chords is really what it is.
I know. It's been hell, man. We just had like subarctic temperatures in Kansas last week. Water pipes froze. Everything else happened. Our heaters weren't working, and it was just absolute hell. But this is not a podcast about two middle-aged men complaining about shit. It's about weird stuff, the paranormal, and also bonkers news. So let's get into it, folks. First up in celebrity news, everybody's favorite 007 could be going to jail. That's right, folks. Actor Pierce Brosnan could be facing possible jail time after allegedly walking in a Yellowstone hydrothermal area at Yellowstone National Park, thus violating federal laws. Brosnan is facing citations of foot travel in thermal areas within Yellowstone Canyon confined trails and also violating closures and usage limits. Criminal charges are filed against the Irish actor in Wyoming back on Tuesday. Federal state laws say foot travel in all thermal areas within the Yellowstone Canyon between Upper Falls and Inspiration Point must be confined to boardwalks or trails. Apparently 007 made a mistake and walked off of the Golden Brick Road, and so now he's facing possible jail time, and reaching out, NPR could not get any comment from his representatives. So there you go, folks. Even the mightiest are held accountable.
He's my least favorite James Bond. He only had one good James Bond movie, and that was GoldenEye. I mean, because you had the GoldenEye video game, and every other James Bond movie he was in past that was just like really like hokey and like shit. And then you got Daniel Craig, and all of his shit was top notch. And then you can't forget fucking. Roger Moore or Sean Connery. I mean, really, if you start adding in like all the other James Bond, like Pierce Bronson is like, you have one good movie, dude. Sean Connery had like, 15, and Daniel Craig had like 4 or 5. So,
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Plus, of course, countless others before them. I really like the Daniel Craig 007 that basically was just Home Alone, where he gets stuck in that old like cabin and has to fend himself, against all those bad guys with like hammers and broken light bulbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I call that one 007 Home Alone. Well, hold on. Let me go with my second news story real quick, because it is another story featuring bizarre criminal charges. A teenage boy in Provo, Utah, is facing charges after allegedly taping several fish to various ATMs across the city, and even one fish was taped to a police car. Authorities at the Provo Police Department alleged that an unnamed 17-year-old was responsible for about a dozen or more fish taping incidents between August and October of last year. One photo showed 3 separate fish duct taped to a police car. Authorities told the news that they suspected the fish taping was done as innocent fun, but charged the teen with 2 misdemeanor counts of causing property damage back in December, mainly because cleaning the dead fish carcasses costs a lot of money. After the teen was referred to juvenile court, the case was officially closed. But yeah, this little dude's taping like trout to ATM screens, and I don't know, that's pretty fun stuff to me.
Hey, I got an update on that Reese's peanut butter cup story. I think they're gonna get
Ooh,
sued again.
tell me about it.
I think they're gonna get sued again because this guy got the pink Reese's peanut butter cup that's in the shape of a heart, and when he opened it up, it looked like a saggy nut sack, and he was like, "What the fuck, Reese's? Who thought that this was a good idea?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
That
you
should have
know
been a
how like on the
Valentine's
back,
Day one.
the big rednecks in their trucks, and how you're behind them, and they have that upside, the ball sack that's hanging. Basically, if you flip that heart upside
Truck
down,
nuts?
it looks like truck nuts. So, hold on, my kid's behind me. Yeah,
When you finish recording, can you fold one's laundry and
Yeah.
bring it upstairs?
yeah. I can do that. You're welcome.
I mean, that could have been a really specialized, like, Thanksgiving Reese's
Yeah.
peanut butter cup, ball sacks and boobs, but, who am I to say what Reese's should do with their money?
I don't know. I just felt like somebody else is gonna get, their ball sacks or pumpkins in an uproar. Fucking Reese's.
Don't get your Reese's in a twist, man.
Yeah.
Well, what
Right,
do you
hey,
got for news, man? You told me you found something.
Fucking Kentucky. God damn it. Anyways, E.T. welcome. Kentucky City beams message into space inviting extraterrestrial visitors. That's right. A Kentucky city has come up with a out-of-this-world campaign to promote tourism. The Lexington Convention and Visitor Bureau used a infrared laser to beam a message into space to invite extraterrestrial travelers. The first thing you'll notice as you descend through Earth's atmosphere above central Kentucky is a lush green countryside that surrounds Lexington's vibrant city center. That's our famous bluegrass. The message begins. And it goes on to describe gentle rolling hills, house farms, and bourbon before suggesting places to stay and places to eat. The idea for the campaign came from recent UFO revelations and advances in deep space imaging that have fueled the belief that we are not alone in the universe. The Visitors Bureau said in a statement this month and announcing the move. The agency said it worked with scientists and scholars to beam the message towards potentially habitable planets in the TRAPPIST-1 solar system 40 light years away. This effort was led by Lexington native Robert Lauder, who is an expert in computer engineering, astrobiology, and a search for extraterrestrial intelligence, and quite possibly just a nerd. We brought together experts in engineering, linguistics, digital media, philosophy, and science fiction to design, debate, and transmit this message, he said. This message was sent with FAA approval and has a coded bitmap image. The bitmap image is key to it all, the linguistic expert Dr. Andrew Bird said. We included imagery representing the elements of life, our iconic Lexington rolling hills, and the molecule structure for water, bourbon, and even dopamine, because Lexington is fun. It's a good place to get drunk and a good place to get high. It could take a while to get the answer, though. The agency says it will take 40 years to get to its intended target, and it could take another 40 years to receive the response. In the meantime, the agency says earthly
Jesus.
travelers are invited to visit fucking Kentucky. Bam.
Fucking Kentucky, man. Hey, there's pretty parts of Kentucky, but yeah, that's really kind of out of left field. I wasn't expecting that. Well, to finish up our news, an Ohio man reportedly was discovered to have been living alongside the corpse of his dead wife in an RV for 6 years. Following his father, Robert Ray's death at 70 years old back in January, John Ray informed the Columbiana County Sheriff's Office that there was actually a second body on the property. After searching the Rays' 40-acre farm, authorities spotted an RV back behind a barn. The RV was said to contain the corpse of Peggy Ray, who died at the age of 64 back in 2017. John reportedly told police that his father had been living inside the trailer along with Peggy's corpse since her death. He also told authorities that his parents were Quakers who wished to be buried at the same time upon both their demises. According to the news, Robert had been caring for his dead wife's remains by surrounding her body with various herbs. She was discovered wrapped in a blanket, quote, unusually well preserved. An autopsy determined that Peggy had been deceased for 6 years. Sheriff Brian McLaughlin told the news that he's been doing this for almost 34 years and never seen anything like it. He said, I've never seen a body that has gone that long and still intact. We had bodies that have been gone for much, much less time with next to nothing left. The Columbiana Sheriff's Department said they're currently investigating this to make sure this is to determine whether or not any charges will be filed. What charges can you file if the guy's dead?
Yeah. So here's the thing: when they're like,
sense.
"We've never seen a body that this far gone, that's so well preserved." Clearly, you guys don't remember that doctor in fucking New York or Pennsylvania that his fiance died, and he was so distraught he like stole her body and like paper mache her vagina to make it like an 18th century fleshlight, and fucked that thing so hard that it caught the house on fire and burnt everything down. And he was doing that for years, ladies and gentlemen, for years. He was participating in necrophilia because he was so heartbroken. And, you know, I mean, what a pioneer. Paper mache pussy. Nobody ever thought that was going to be a thing.
Yep. You're talking about old Carl Panzer. He lived with the corpse of his beloved for over 7 years.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Gives you the heebies and the jeebies.
I mean, look. If you know what, if it's who are we to judge that it's a crime? I mean, it's a crime of passion. It's a crime of love. They're obviously well maintained. I mean, I don't know. Everybody handles death a little bit differently. It's a little fucking weird. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't do it, but who am I to judge? I mean, if that's what you got to do, hey, it's family. You know, it's not like you're doing it to a stranger.
Yeah.
It's not like you fucking
it's not like you know.
Chopped them up in the kitchen or anything. It was like using their body parts for like sausage and bacon. Like, you know, you loved them so much you just couldn't let them go.
Love them and didn't want to leave them. Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, nothing funky's going on. He didn't rob the grave to bring your body back out. So yeah, give the guy a pass. Are you just going to give him a, posthumous fucking charges? Dig his body up and put him in a jail cell for 6 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, folks, we're getting back to the basics of Pixelated Paranormal, and we're going to dive into a couple different cryptids on the upcoming weeks. This week, we're going to dive into the mysterious Pocono Monster. Now, tonight's tale of terror takes place in northeastern Pennsylvania, up in the corner near the Pocono Mountains. It's a pretty beautiful area, spanning a 2,400 square mile area full of beautiful lakes and lush, dense forests. And the tale begins back in the month of July. Right? Hey, there's pretty parts of Kentucky, man. When we went to visit Rob, there were some pretty breathtaking parts. So, anyway, this story doesn't take place in Kentucky. It takes place in Pennsylvania back in July of 1970. Where an 18-year-old girl named Annette was spending her third summer in a row working at Bill Walker's Motor Lodge in Blakesley, Pennsylvania. Well, it just so happens that Annette's 16-year-old sister, Christine, was visiting her for the summer, and together, the two sisters has just taken... And together, the two sisters had just taken Annette's co-worker home and were on their way back returning to the lodge. Now, in the moment, these sisters were riding pretty high because they actually just got permission to drive Mr. Bill Walker's brand new Porsche to take Annette's coworker home. So they're just over the moon, really getting...
It's too cold for spaghetti straps. If Sean were to wear spaghetti straps right now, dude, his nips would cut ice and probably break the camera screen. So you're going to have to wait for it to warm up at least 20 degrees-ish. Give or take.
Yeah, you got to wait for hot boy summer.
Yeah.
Or, just a week or two from now. Yeah, it's 34 degrees out right now, so that's a heat wave compared to how it was, a couple of days ago. Well, in the moment, the sisters were riding pretty high because they just got permission to drive Mr. Bill Walker's brand new Porsche to take home Annette's coworker. So they're just over the moon, man, really getting after it. They got the chance to drive this absolute beauty of a motor vehicle Windows are down, radios turned up, and they're just making their way down these narrow, winding roads through the densely populated wooded area. If you close your eyes, you can almost picture it. But Annette pictured something else. See, suddenly Annette said,
Hey, is this the voice? What's this one sound like?
"No, it's not. It sounds terrible."
What about that one? Is that one better? Is that high pitch?
No, that sounds like Annette is in the witness protection program.
What about now? How about that one?
Just give me your... Nope,
No?
that's not doing it. Just give me your best
What about
Southern
that?
belle.
What about that? I just need to know
No, we're
which
back
one
in the
is-
FBI.
I just
Know which one's the higher pitch sounding one? Because there's a female, male robot.
and baby, is that high pitch? Is that a high pitch one?
Nope. That's the opposite of high pitched. That's like talking with a mouthful of maple syrup.
And this one's not high pitch?
That one's like peanut butter.
This
That's
one-
fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
I was
Yeah, just
driving about
remember with the high pitch. Hold on now. We got to
Hey,
really,
hey,
put some mustard on it.
hey,
You can't
hey.
project your voice, because if you project it,
Right.
it's going to make everyone's ears bleed.
Right.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, take it from the top.
Hey, I was driving about 35 miles per hour, and as the road curved, I saw this thing walking in the tall grass with its nips all out, right in front of the tree line on the opposite side of the road, and I instantly slowed down to get a better look. And my sister, she said, "Oh my God, what is that?"
If you close your eyes, folks, you can picture it's like Annette's right next to you. Annette slows the Porsche down in order to get a better look at whatever this thing was that's making its way across the street. And now in the area, there's lots of wildlife you would assume to be living out amongst these woods. And at first, she thought maybe this thing was just a bear. But then she got a little closer and she realized this thing didn't match any description of any normal animal she knew of or anything else that she'd ever seen with her own eyes.
It kind of had a flat head like Frankenstein. It had big old glowing red eyes. The nose was small, almost non-existent, like two little slits, like a slithering snake. It had protruding ears and big old full lips. Its mouth was open, but I didn't see any teeth, and I thought, my God, this thing looks like it could be from Lexington to Kentucky.
Annette said once they got closer, they realized this creature was nearly 7 feet tall, with a broad chest, covered in thick, dirty white fur, and it had an abnormally long neck. And at the top of that neck would be the face that only a mother could love.
The eyes were dark and spaced far apart. Its hair covered the lower half of its face. There was a pinkish skin around the eyes and the forehead like a rumpled silk skin. It looked like its hair was a little longer on its head and hanging all over its forehead like bangs.
Annette said that by the time they got to where they could slow down to get a better look at it, this thing had made its way off into the grass, which was uncut, and at the time was standing near 3 feet tall, obstructing their vision of what this creature's lower body might look like. But from the upper body, they could tell it had really long arms, very muscular. But the weird thing was, they were oddly out of proportion, almost like they were too long for the body. But its hands were also obstructed by the tall grass, so they couldn't really get an idea how big this thing's mitts really were. Anyway, the Porsche eventually comes to a full stop, and as it did, Annette said her eyes met those of this bizarre beast, and suddenly they were locked into a heated staring contest with those glowing red eyes. But then suddenly, she felt a crippling wave of nausea sweep over her body, mixed with that of the feeling of primal terror. So Annette does what any of us would do, sitting in their boss's new Porsche, and she quickly rolled down the window to puke her guts out. But that's when her sister Christine starts going batshit crazy. Also, like many of us would do in that same situation, and she starts screaming for her sister to roll the windows up and get the fuck out of Dodge. Annette manages to break away from this thing's creepy death stare and decides that yes, it is indeed time to haul ass out of the current situation that they had just found themselves in.
I hit the gas. I was scared. I wanted to get out of there, and I just had this feeling if we stayed, that thing might just attack us. I don't know. It was just a gut reaction.
So she threw it into gear and they tore ass out of that creepy situation. And she said again, oddly enough, as they were leaving the area, she happened to look into the rearview mirror. As this thing is getting smaller and smaller as it's fading off into the distance as they gain more distance away from it, she noticed that the creature stood very still, only turning its head to follow them as they went around the curve of the highway. They both got this terrified feeling that this thing was going to start bounding after them, maybe even try to possibly knock the car off the road, or even worse, maybe rip the roof off. But no, the thing just stood there, as still as can be, watching as they left the creature behind in their dust. Now, in the Porsche, the girls make it down a few miles from where they first encountered the creature, and then much to their dismay, suddenly the Porsche stalls out and then dies on the side of the highway. Both these two girls had the same exact thought. What's going to happen now? Is this thing going to tear ass through the woods, bust out of the trees, and rip our bodies apart, or maybe something even worse? Well, Lady Luck seems to be on their side, maybe even riding in the back seat, who knows? But anyway, not long after that, they were discovered on the side of the road. But instead of it being the creature who discovered them, it was another motorist who happened upon the two girls. The do-gooder popped the hood on the new Porsche and discovered it was simply running low on oil. This good Samaritan topped off the oil, and the lucky ladies made it back to the lodge that Annette was working at. Now, when asked if the creature was possibly just some kind of human or some other kind of local wildlife, Annette commented,
I don't think so. I mean, it may have been part human, part caveman. That's the only thing I can think to compare it to. It was definitely not a person or bear. To this day, I have no idea what it might have been.
So what's weird here, Presto, is this thing happens to be the first time that we've talked about an actual Bigfoot that has a flat head, kind of like a Frankenstein. Because most of the time what we talk about here as far as Bigfoots and Sasquatches go, they've got kind of that pointy dome-shaped head, or at least, if nothing else, kind of a raised protruding forehead. Kind of like Harry and the Hendersons. But also what's weird is a description here of a long neck, whereas most reports of Sasquatch say these things are kind of stocky with the head almost just jammed right on these big old thick meaty shoulders, where the shoulder kind of goes straight into the jawline. Anyway, this isn't the last time people would report seeing this thing, because oddly, 3 years later, on the evening of September 27th, 1973, at around 9:30 p.m., two completely different girls are waiting for a ride out in a rural part of the country area when they said they too happened to see a white, hairy creature with glowing red eyes that stood nearly 7 to 8 feet tall off on the tree line towards the woods. Having a very similar description of what Annette and her sister said they saw as well. Flat head, glowing red eyes, that whole thing. But what's more peculiar here is this creature was said to be carrying a strange wand-like device that had a glowing orb at the end of it. So as soon as the girls get home, they run inside their house and they tell their dad exactly what they just saw. A huge, white, hairy monster on the edge of the tree line. And so their dad, shockingly enough, believes his daughters, and he takes off
wizard,
and goes
Harry.
out into the woods.
He's got a wand.
Right? He takes off into the area of the woods that his daughters said they saw the creature, but apparently he's gone for over an hour. And these girls are starting to get real nervous because holy shit, what happened? Did this giant albino Sasquatch, eat their dad? Who the heck really knows? Well, oddly enough, at that same exact time, several people in the area stated that during the time that the girl's dad was in the woods, somewhere in that time frame, there's also several sightings of an object that looked a lot like an airplane, but it was seen floating stationary in the sky above those same woods. And some folks said they saw a shining light come beaming down from the craft into the trees. About an hour later, the girl's dad showed back up, but this time he's disheveled. His hair is a mess, clothes are all askew, and his eyes are just wide with terror. And then after the incident of his disappearance, the man appeared to have also experienced a personality shift, and according to a lot of people close to him, friends and family, soon afterwards he starts looking for books about prophecies, and he's oftentimes now heard talking about the coming of the end of the world. Years later, an investigator stopped and talked to the father, who confirmed that his daughters indeed did see a Bigfoot that night, but he denies having ever gone into the woods and actually goes forward to forebode anybody else to try to search the area that he may or may not have disappeared into, stating that some things are just better left alone. But what's interesting here, and the thought I kind of want to finish on, Presto, is, does this wand-like device remind you of any other cryptid cases we've talked about in the past?
The Flatwoods Monster.
I don't know. I mean, sort of. I don't remember it carrying
Or
the wand.
that fucking, what was that Dunsford Dudley homeless clown? Didn't it have like a wand or something?
Yeah, Sam the Sandown Clown. Yeah, he had like a speak and spell that he carried around with like a microphone. So yeah, hey, that's a connection I didn't make.
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is more eerily similar to the wand that was allegedly carried by the Loveland Frogmen. You know, some 20 years later, back in 1955, you know, again, around 3:30 in the morning, lonely stretch of highway. The road runs long near the Little Miami River. And this guy says he pulls over and happens to catch with his own eyes 3 bipedal, 3 to 4 foot tall amphibious frog-like entities walking across the road trying to kind of climb over the guardrail. And he said suddenly one of the creatures holds this giant wand in his hand with a glowing orb at the tip, and when it holds it up in the air, a shower of sparks come flying out of the wand.
Man, I totally forgot about that, because whenever I think back to the Loveland Frogmen, we had that really shitty picture on our YouTube page, and they were like holding like a wooden spear, and I'm like, ooh, ga, 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 and I just think like they're going to stab somebody. I forgot that they had a wizard wand. Like, shit, man.
Yeah, they had a little wizard wand, a little sparkler, if nothing else.
I'm almost positive, though, that the Flatwoods Monster was carrying something, too, because they described it as very, like, robotic-like, and he or she was, like, carrying something in their hand that was, like, I don't know, like an antenna rod, I don't know if it had an orb and a globe, but shit, Definitely,
we'll have to kind of dig back into it.
Tall, gangly creature-looking thing reminds me of the hobo clown.
Sam the Sandown Clown.
You kids should come down to my shack and I'll butter your biscuits. Brr. Oh, boys.
You're telling me this is the one time you're not going to use your voice modulator?
Yeah. I had to because I'm not hooked up to the headphones, so I can't hear when it says like, lady, man, robot, baby. I'm colorblind, so I can't tell the difference on the color of the fucking light, so I have no idea. And every single time I go through a light, you're like, nope, nope, nope. I'm like, is there one that sounds like a fucking baby, like drank helium or something? Like, there's got to be one on there. I know it exists.
Yeah.
God damn it.
I love the fact that you're like, is this a lady? And it's like, I saw the Bigfoot on the side of the road.
It's like,
good stuff.
Dude, looks like a lady. I said, hell no, I'm getting out of there, brother. That's what the ladies sound like in Lexington, Kentucky. God, I'm gonna get so much hate mail from Lexington, Kentucky. But here's the thing, Lexington, if you're listening, I would not have given you so much shit, and I would have given you props Yeah, this whole entire episode, I would have given you mad props at the beginning of it and not so much shit talk had you not encoded a message to aliens that talks about bourbon and dopamine. Like, bourbon? Fuck yeah, all day long. But, god damn it, why'd you have to put the dopamine in there? Because I'm going to be like, fuck. You know, all those redneck jokes and backward hillbilly jokes that they say about Kentucky, fucking confirmed right here because they put dopamine in that message that they sent to them aliens 45 million light years away. That's what they did. That's what they did.
Well, I can't wait to see the war that you rage on here with Lexington, the entire town of Lexington, Kentucky. Lexington, Kentucky. Man, these stouts, boy, they're really viscous. Make your tongue kind of heavy.
All 20 people probably related to Rob that live in Lexington that are listening to the show right now.
Amazing. Well, Pennsylvania is a host to a ton of other really interesting cryptids. I got a list here of just a couple that we'll probably touch base on a few of them. First of all, you have the Raytown Lake, Ray. Raytown Lake, near the center of the state of Huntington County, is the largest lake in Pennsylvania, and it's also said to be the home of a monster. Not a sea monster, though, just a lake monster. And the creature's name is Ray. Dozens of people have reported sightings spanning decades, and there's even a few photos of a strange shape that can be found in the lake. A sighting back in September a few years ago said, "I saw a dark shape moving along the water at least 50 yards out. At first glance, I thought it was a beaver, but it wasn't moving like no beaver." While more than 1 million people visit Raytown Lake each year, there's no conclusive evidence of Ray, the lake monster. But the lake is 30 miles long and does reach depths of nearly 200 feet, so perhaps Ray is just taking advantage of this open space to hide. Next up, we have the Geewoggle. Lou Barnard is a Pennsylvania resident and historian who's written a great deal about legendary creatures, said to live in our state of Pennsylvania, especially back in his home county of Clinton. Since 2011, thanks to Bernard's help, as he has declared by the county's commission, the Geewoggle has become the official monster of Clinton County. But what exactly is the old Geewoggle? Well, according to folklore, it's documented by Bernard himself, the Geewoggle kind of looks like a wolf walking on hind legs, except it has claws for hands and hooves for feet. The hooves make this thing difficult to track, which makes it a clever beast indeed. The monster is said to be distinct from others that it's conjured up by a witch. So the witch summoned the Geewoggle, kind of like, the witch that summoned up the Jersey Devil. First reports, though, of the Geewoggle go clear back to 1870, which fits the story because Bernard writes that witches used to live in Clinton County back in Keaton Mounting around that time. So apparently, there's been reports of bipedal wolves in Clinton County aplenty. From there, though, we move over to Delaware County, and we got to talk about the
hold on one second.
Of Chester.
Josh Marino 1234 on Kick asks, "Is this a rerun?" No, we don't do reruns on this show. We bring you fresh new content every time we hit the record button. However, I make no guarantees with this fucking shitty night that I'm having. That with technology, that Kick even remotely updated the titles with the accurate number in the description, so I could see where you might think that this could be a rerun, but it's not. And Lexington, if you're listening, I'm sorry I've been an asshole tonight. It's not your fault that I'm technologically inadequate right now, so I shouldn't take out my frustration and anger on you. So
yeah, Josh, this is not a rerun. You just got to watch Preston's Pity Party in live time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, moving on to Delaware County, Pennsylvania has more than one depressed mythical creature besides Preston. There's also the Ape Boy of Chester Swamp, as reported in the esteemed publication Weird Pennsylvania. Now, this story takes us back more than 250 years, where there's this young boy living in Chester in Delaware County near Philly. The boy's appearance isn't so pleasing, though. See, back in the day, just as many people believed that doctors didn't need to wash their hands, They also didn't consider red hair attractive. That's sad. So this red-headed kid got tired of being made fun of and ran into the swamps of Chester, never to return. The boy is said to stalk the swamps, now mutated into a giant, large ape-like behemoth, covered in red, fiery hair. Even though his swamps have now been drained over Delaware County, for years and years, people have been reporting seeing shadows and silhouettes of the ape boy haunting the territory. How about Brine Athen? Oh, sorry, the Brine Athen Beast. A dog man is a creature seen in several regions.
Hold on.
Uh-oh, is Josh back?
Josh is back. He said, okay, well, I got some paranormal shit for y'all. And I've seen some shit. And bro, take a shot or two. No need for a pity party. If I had my bourbon with me right now, let me tell you, I'd do it better in Lexington, Kentucky would. But I don't. But hey, Josh, if you're still listening, email us those stories at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. I'm not prepared for this, so I don't know what our fucking phone number is. Sean, what's our phone number?
Oh man, we got a phone number. Hold on a second here. I was not prepared either. God, we're so excited, man. You're the first time we've ever had anybody comment off of Kick before, so you got to forgive us for being ill prepared here. Yeah. Shoot us a voicemail over at 913-662-3144, and that goes for anybody. Shoot us a voicemail, guys. 913-662-3144. That's our Google Voice, which we keep open for just the occasion.
Or, Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, and you can slide into our what do you say? Slide into our PMs with a DM or whatever. Give us that direct message. Sure. Type it up nice.
It works for me. Slide into our PMs with your DM. That'll work. That'll work. Well, the last creature I want to talk about is actually going to springboard us into next episode. In Pennsylvania, we also have the lowly, disgustingly sad creature known as the squonk. The squonk is a creature found only in the hemlock forests of northern Pennsylvania. First written about back in the ripe old year of 1910 in a book called Fearsome Creatures of the Lumber Woods by author William T. Cox. The squonk is reportedly covered in warts and moles. With no way of learning about the movement toward the body positivity, being isolated in the northern Pennsylvania woods and all, the squonk is very unhappy with its appearance. As a result, it continuously can be seen crying and sobbing its eyes out. Cox recommends that anyone looking for the squonk follow the trail of tears that can stain the ground as it walks. But when captured, it can actually be dissolved in its own tears into a giant pile of disgusting goo, thus taking away any proof of the squonk's existence. That's right, folks. This thing is so sad. If you catch it, it'll cry itself into a puddle and dissolve like the wicked witch of the West. But that's going to be a little teaser. See, next episode, I've already started writing a show about the most bizarre and stupid cryptids I've ever come across so far, including the squonk and some other really bizarre creatures. So get ready for that. But with that being said, Presto, I think it's about time.
Yeah, it's probably time to get the fuck out of here. My favorite bad guy enemy in the Fallout universe was up in the Appalachia, the mole men, the mole people. I think we should try to. I think we should try to find a story that has. There's got to be something out there with mole people. I'm interested to do. Oh, hey, hold on, Josh again. I will tell you this: I have messed with witchcraft and summoned some creatures that are not to be named that I am not allowed to say their true name, and I've learned from my grandmother, who was a witch, and she had learned from her mother as well. I think, Josh, that you should, deep dive an email to us, and so we can crack this open like Scooby-Doo gang style, man.
Dude, yeah, you definitely got to send us some stories in, dude. Hit us up on the Gmail or the Google Voice or something, man. We'd love to share your stories. And if you had to, start off by saying, "Don't share my name, guys. I want to be left anonymous." But we'd love to share some of your stories,
Yeah,
man, for sure.
oops, I fucked up on that
And
one.
also-
Anyways, Fire Pixie says all that shit is when it comes to like mole people and the squonk and everything else that you just mentioned in the last 5 minutes of the show as far as cryptid. It's all bullshit. None of it's real except for the chupacabra. And I say, Fire Pixie,
Right.
if you want to see those, summer boy, 3-inch fire sausage nips, you're gonna have to be more like Fox Mulder, and you need to believe because Sean's not gonna show. If you don't partake in the belief that maybe there are fucking mole people in the ground somewhere, and that's why the economy shit or something. I don't know. What can we blame on the mole people?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I replied back in the chat. That's the hill she's going to climb. A raccoon with mange is the beast that you think exists above all else. Yeah,
Hey.
I'm not going to put him on the glass for anything else, and an acknowledgement that Bat Squatch is real too.
I don't know. I feel like because in Vietnam you had the Chahul. I think Bat Squash could probably. I think it's just
Ahul,
I think it's just the American version of the Ahul, and because you're dealing with people that are fucking drunk and shit, that they're just like, it had a fucking goat's nose that had horns and it was flying and it screeched like a baboon and ripped my car apart, and then you get over to Vietnam and they're like, it was half woman, it was half bat, her titties were flopping all over the place, and I was like, God damn, I don't know what to do. I got Charlie in the pipes and all this shit, and then you get a better story. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I was going to ask you. If the Ahul was that creature that would bury its lower legs into the sand and then rip its torso off and just be topless, flapping in the wind with its entrails and its breasts hanging out everywhere.
Yeah.
Man, they don't do
I'm
them
ready,
like that anymore,
Daddy.
do they?
I'm
Over here
ready.
we have, yeah. In Vietnam, you just have stuff like rock apes and topless vampires that have their guts hanging out. In America, we have the Ahul. No, sorry, we have the squonk, a creature that cries itself into a puddle.
It reminded me of that episode of
Uncle
Rick and
Sam.
Morty where Beth and Jerry go to the alien therapist and they do the 3D scan and
Yeah.
Jerry's like that little worm that just melts all the time, and he's like, "Meh, I'm so pathetic." Meh.
Right? Oh, holy shit, man. Well, I think that's where we pull the plug right there, buddy boy. I want you to just have a couple moments of zen, maybe take yourself a hot bath, throw in a bath bomb, and just kind of chill out and end the night on a good note. That's what I want for you, pal.
Yeah. I was actually reading chat,
All right, cool.
so I don't know what the fuck you said, but hey, man, if it felt sincere.
Okay, just wishing you the best, pal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just,
felt,
give
I
yourself a little spa time.
felt it from the heart.
Yeah.
I could hear the sincerity. in your
I
voice.
noticed you have I can hear an echo in your voice. I think when you use your modulator, somehow it kind of stirs up some kind of reverb.
I mean, it could be. It also because when you go back, there's I don't know. Is that better? Because I switched to a different colored brown light
Oh.
on the board. So second brown light, number
A
2.
different shade of brown.
Yeah.
Oh
The
man.
other shade of
we are
the other shade of
idiots.
brown
We
is the
are.
one I need to go to. That's what I'm saying. So
There you go. There you go.
yeah.
Well, everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along. We really appreciate you guys. If you are watching us, please like and subscribe on Kick, on Rumble, on YouTube. Follow along on Facebook. If you're on the old Instagram, we are at PXL Paranormal. On Facebook, we are the Pixelated Paranormal Podcast. Oddly enough, Google Podcast apparently is going away. I just read an email before we recorded, and I think YouTube is going to be converting over to doing an audio version where you could have podcasts on YouTube audio or some shit. So it's been weird, man. Stitcher's
Yeah.
disappeared, Pandora's gone down the toilet, and now Google Podcast is just disappearing. So I don't know. Wild stuff, but do us a
Spotify.
favor,
Don't
like,
forget
subscribe.
Spotify.
Oh yeah, Spotify. Ooh yeah, definitely. Spotify's still hot and heavy.
Yeah.
But if you guys could give us some ratings and reviews on Apple Podcast, over on Amazon. Who's going to be the first person to leave us a review on Amazon? But please do share this with your friends. Tell your family that you have found, maybe one of the absolute middle of the road paranormal podcasts out there, and they really need to listen to it.
Yeah.
Then ask your
And-
parents and your friends and your family if they have any weird stories.
Yeah, and look, here's the other thing too. Like, I was telling one of my buddies this the other night because I talk about it on the show all the time. When I go back and I kind of review how many views we got on all the different platforms, what I noticed is some of the platforms, Rumble, that the videos will have like
Yeah.
300, 400, 500 views, and then there's only like 19 followers. So what that tells me, in my mind, is that Rumble has a bunch of dirty peeping toms on their platform, and instead of just watching from the background and not liking and subscribing, you're just like, ooh, this is so interesting, and then you follow it next week, but you don't actually hit that fucking follow button. So if you're watching us on Rumble and you've spent more than 5 minutes listening to this bullshit, hit the goddamn follow button and then share with all your crazy friends. We appreciate it. And look, if you need a beard, if you want a beard, if you want to grow the best damn beard, if you're so embarrassed that you live in Lexington, Kentucky, and that you have dopamine and bourbon messages being sent to aliens, look, I can't help you, but I want to help you, and I'm going to tell you, you need to go over to Big Dob's beardbomb.com and use promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. Sure, you'll still be living in Lexington, but you'll be able to get some products in. You'll feel good about
Jesus,
yourself. You're gonna smell good. You're gonna smell like sweet tobacco, fresh citrus, mint, classic. Your beard is gonna look oily. It's gonna look shiny. And when the aliens finally do land, they're not gonna be upset that your message was crap because they're gonna take one look at that face. They're gonna in their little alien nostrils and get a whiff, and they're gonna be in love. Do yourself a favor, Big Dobbs. beardmom.com, promo code PXLPARA for 20% off your order. Thank us later. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
That is true.
Oh,
God,
hey,
you
Josh
know who
said,
loves us?
guys,
Rumble.
8.5 out of 10. That's his rating. You know what? I love it.
Fuck yeah.
8.5.
Take it, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Josh, if it's your first time watching, dude, we normally stream mostly on Thursdays now. Tonight's just kind of a weird fluke, but anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate you. And please, man, shoot us in that story. We got to hear some more. Now, speaking of viewing, Preston, I'm going to share the news. I'm going to walk all over you and say, folks, we did the damn thing. We hit our 300th subscriber on YouTube. Tell your friends. Tell your
Oh
family.
yeah, that 300 subscriber. I
Super
don't know
thrilled.
that I don't know that should actually count because he's like, I thought, guys, I
It
swear
counts.
to God,
It's on there.
I thought I liked and subscribed, and then I got on there and I realized, shit, I wasn't a subscriber, so I got you to 300. You know what? Fuck you, Hobbit, because you should have liked and subscribed months ago, buddy. You should have. You're killing the party. Yeah, you're killing the party. This is. I mean, well, you're only like 3'1", so we can't expect you to carry the weight of the party because you can't, because you're vertically challenged because you're a hobbit plus you're a paladin. But maybe I'm just
Jesus,
saying
man.
months ago you could have liked and subscribed, and then we could already be to like 301 or 302. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
That's not how math works. If we had 299 6 months ago and we got one more, it's still only 300. And of course,
never know.
Preston is not talking about a real life, little person. We're talking about our buddy who is in our D&D campaign who plays a dwarf. So
No, he's playing a halfling.
before you get
He's
all of
playing a
Lexington,
hobbit.
Kentucky, and all of the yeah, sure, but I just don't need all of Lexington, Kentucky, and all of the population of little people across the world to just be breathing down your neck, man. I don't want our Google Voice filled up with hate mail about how you're making fun of, quote unquote midgets.
Hey, look, anybody else who's
need
not
that
anybody else who's not living in Lexington, Kentucky, if you call in the Google voicemail and you leave us the name of the city that you live in, I will shit on your town like for one whole episode. Guaranteed. It's a promise. You know what? I'll spread the hate equally.
Yeah. Yeah. What we should do, man, let's do this since we're already on this roll. Give us a call on that Google Voice and let us know what is your local folklore, what is your local cryptid, and we'll dive into it. We'll do an episode where we kind of dive into listeners' local folklore. That'd be a lot of fun. So maybe you have like a weird, perverted witch who's like a peeping Tom who looks into everybody's windows and stuff like that. You give us a call and let us know what that is, man, because that would be a lot of fun as well, just to kind of dive into that kind of stuff.
Heads up, Kansas, don't call in, because the best thing you got is the Hamburglar, man, and we've already covered that, and we are actually really disappointed. So
I'm going to go above you and say, Kansas, do call in and tell us, because Preston, we're trying to get voicemails here, champ.
yeah,
You're just like, you know what? Anybody under 4 foot, all of Lexington and Kansas, just fuck off. That's basically what you just said.
yeah.
The sheer audacity this guy has, man. The size of this guy's balls. All right, guys. With that, if you're in the Wichita area, please stop by and see our dear friend Leslie and the rest of the gang over at CD Trade Post Pawnee and Seneca. Check out Paranormal Egg Experience Food Truck. And then also, please check out paranormal.cafe. And with that, I'm just going to raise this glass and say, cheers to the weird shit in the world. Cheers to you, Josh, on Kick. Thanks, buddy. Lazarus, Fire Pixie, you folks as well. Cheers to all of you and all the weird shit in the world, and those of us that love to talk about it.
And stay spooky, and stay on the paranormal highway.
The cast at Pixelated Paranormal would like to thank you for listening to this week's episode. Pixelated Paranormal is here to tell you tales of the fantastical, the strange, the unknown. Tales that will move you a little further down the paranormal highway. If you'd like to share your own listener story, we would love to hear it. Email us at pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. Again, that's pixelatedparanormal@gmail.com. We'd really love to hear from you. Again, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Pixelated Paranormal, your guide to the unusual and the strange.